Good morning. Monday, August 10th. It's hot. It is very hot. We had a big week here, out in the field a lot, and man, it is hot, but it's thinning out. I know Atlanta school started back last week. Our kids start back this week. So it's a great time to kind of just settle in and see kind of where we're at, right? Like we're through the crux of the summer. We still got Labor Day coming up that everybody gets excited about. I've got 3 people coming in this week. So there's people still arriving to look at property. And I tell everybody, this is kind of that season where some people wait until this time to really come down and shop when they know the crowds are down in between now and Labor Day. And then I've got people telling me they're coming in October, November. So everybody's kind of making those fall plans. But big show today. Listen, this is your first time. Casey Joyner, Scenic Sotheby's, been doing this for years. We're going to bring you the market update from the week that was. But also, this is a great episode because it's going to feel like a little bit of a news channel because I've got some update, and we're going to have talk through the 38 connector over in Seagrove, something to run 98, or connect Seagrove up to 98, somewhere in there. I'll talk about that more in a second. And then I've got for you, is this the greatest flip of all time in our area's market? And it's causing a stir, and it's still going. And that's quite the tease, but I'm going to get to that and save it for last. But I think it's the greatest flip I've ever heard of. And it's an ongoing conversation, and there's some things happening tonight with it. So here we go, hot sheet. All right, new listings, 46. Man, are we leveling out or what? Right? Now, here's the interesting thing. When we talked last week, I told you about all those expireds that I thought would come back on the market during this time period because there was a crazy amount that expired at the end of July. Evidence is not a lot of those have come back, so there must be some working. I actually talked with someone who was one of those expireds. They called me and want to revisit listing and maybe come back on Labor Day. So there might be some moving around out there going on, but it didn't really affect the numbers like I thought it would. Pending properties, 38. Man, tried and true, guys. I feel it out there. It's active. Feels good. We always judge it by Casey's phone. Casey's phone's been busy. We're writing deals. We're keeping deals together. Like it feels great out there, to be honest with you. Not every product is humming along like some of the others. But here's what I'll tell you. Your time's coming. As long as you're positioned right and you're doing the fundamental things that you should, it's going to happen for you. Closed transactions 18. Interesting because that's right at the we just came off of the end of July where we had a lot of closings, and so that's that first week, so there wasn't a lot of spillover. So I'm not judging anything on that closed 18 for what was essentially the first week of August. Price changes remain super consistent, 54. Okay, let me point to the expires that you see on the list right there, just 10. That's normal. Like 3 to 10 is normal. Last week the number we had was absurd. Okay, and that's what would throw it off, right? So, man, listen, great week, very solid. Pending stay consistent. New listings stay consistent. We're going to continue to eat away at that inventory. And I'll be honest with you, it's getting a bit of a challenge out there. I've got some folks coming in, and I'm grinding on having them as many options as when they were in town looking before. Just being real with you. Like, that's what's happening out there. So that's the good and the bad about the inventory. But what we like the most on this channel is just the consistency. I'm going to pull a few things up right here. Now, listen, you see this big, beautiful map, right? Listen, this is 38, okay? You see the beautiful beaches, and the highway that I'm recognizing right here on my cursor, if I can do it, is 395. It runs, see my mouse right here on the beach, running north and south. The trick with the connector conversation is if you've visited us anytime, if you take a west-hand turn right here, you're going in the seaside, but if you go east, you're going through all of this area, through Seagrove, okay, across the lake right there. That is going across where Old Florida Fish House is, you know, all that area. And what I'm trying to point out to you, here's Water Sound, right? So you're just kind of going through all this state park area, all of Water Sound. Here's the thing that I'm pointing out to you. You see all this land up north that we're skirting by up here? Now, 395 is the last spot that you can go north onto 98 until you get all the way over to Water Sound Camp Creek Parkway, which is right beside Alice Beach. So you got to go all the way down here. And what's happening is, if you've been down here during the busy times, the stoplight right there at Surfing Deer and Seagrove can be backed up for a long way. And then Watersound Parkway at the wrong time of day can be a madhouse as well, because that's really your 2 points. But man, there is a lot of density in between those 2 points. I'm going to point this out. You see this little cut through right here? This is Old Florida Fish House right in this area on the lake. And then this is right through the state park. You see this line cut, this path cut through the state park. Now, people have been looking at that for a while, and it's been a topic of conversation. Look, it spills out right there onto 98. Let me zoom out and show you. That's Highway 98, and this little road that I'm tracing down right here connects right into the heart of Seagrove. It'd actually be a perfect location because it's right kind of in the thick of things. It would dump you out right at Old Florida Fish House, right before Watersound. It's kind of equidistant in between Surfing Deer and let's call it Alice Beach, right? Listen, much debate. This has been talked about like in 2018. To my knowledge, guys, here's the thing, because somebody asked me about this and I went digging through. It's gaining steam again, but there's no action on it right now. But here's why I'm watching this. I believe this is important. Here's the trick with it. I don't like going through state land for anything. I know it's happened in the past. The rest of our cut throughs are not through the state land. Someone might get worried about precedents once you do that. But I'm just bringing it up because it's been brought up again. And we're going through another summer where that little congested area in between Seagrove and all the way to Alice, that's a lot of density that has those 2 points to get north. And man, the 30A could use that vertical right there. Okay. So just bringing up the connector to kind of stay in tune with that one. Destin City Council, listen, there is a meeting tonight, 5:30 down in Destin, where they're going to be talking about the 50-year plan for Destin, Florida. And that includes infrastructure, beach access, public land. They've already bought a huge old hotel site in Destin at a beautiful new beach access on Scenic 98, much the way that Walton County has done. So I'm talking about Okaloosa County, but much the way 30A has done, but Destin's done the same. But a large portion of the conversation still remains on the amazing land purchase that happened and physically closed on our tax records in December. This is an article I'm pointing out, and I can send it to anybody that wants to, that the Destin Council still calls for transparency after an $83 million land deal. I talked to you guys about this when it happened. $83 million. If my memory serves me correctly, let me see if it says right here. Yes, 4 acres. $20 million per acre. Now, let me show you what this is. Let me pull up the map. This is the area right here. I've got it highlighted. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so you can see. All right, you see that little highlighted area right here? This is the 4 acres, okay? This has always been City of Destin, this larger piece, and then this is private. This 4 acres had been approved for 80 condominiums. They were permitted for it. There's a lot of parking right there currently, and boat slips, all that good stuff. So the state jumped in and bought it. Now, the fight on it was this. And look, you can see even on the screen right here, right down here, 12/9/25, $83 million purchase. Now it's owned by the state. Okay. Here's the trick with this one and why it's so interesting to me. The state said they needed it to protect beach access and everything. It's an amazing piece of land. If you look at it, like it's going to serve a lot of people. People can already use this section over here, but it guarantees a pass through to access all this. And I think that was a lot of the state's position on it was if this goes away to private, it's going to be hard to kind of get through over there to that section, right? Like if I highlight this, there's nothing there. That says City of Destin. Okay. They've had that for a while. But they wanted to secure this piece. The fight's been on the amount. And for that amount of money, what are we going to get out of it, right? So here's the trick with it. And I wanted to just bring that up and show it to you just so you're familiar with the location. $83 million, and the reason I'm going to say it's the largest flip in history. There's some rumor. Now, listen, I couldn't find this on the actual tax record. But there's a lot of people saying that land actually transacted back in 16 or 17 for around $8 million. $8 million back in 16, 17. I can't find it on the tax record, but I've seen several articles that call it that. It then resold in 2025 for $83 million. I've had people come and tell me stories where their grandparents own land near there and wish they never sold it and all that stuff. But man, I think that would go down, and I'm going to continue to look at that. I think that would be the largest flip that I've ever heard of down in our area. Just amazing. $7 to $8 million back in 16, 17 for that 4 acres, which at that time would have been monumental, and have to go through and get the permitting process. But 83 million. So what's part of that Destin meeting tonight is just kind of like, hey, listen, we hear you on that. You guys did it. You spent state money. What's coming our way with it? How's that going into the infrastructure? Destin's doing a good job out on Scenic 98, creating parking spaces, handling the density, future development. People forget about Destin. They forget about the harbor. We talk a lot about 30A. We talk about the prices of Gulfront on Alice and things like that. But people forget that you go and spend $8 million on a harbor front home in Destin, and people are parking $5 million boats behind it. Like it's wild, some of the real estate down there. And the $83 million investment toward that goes to the effort of what the state thinks about that property as well, and how important that is to the longevity of the area. So I'm excited about those two topics. They're both very impactful. That meeting tonight, I'm going to look for the minutes for it. I'm not going to be able to get there, but I think it's super interesting to bring up. And I'm going to find out more about what they're talking about and bring you that in Destin. And then I'm going to keep digging in on that connector, because I'm a little worried about it, because I don't think going through state land is wise. But at the same time, man, that is a huge gap in the road that could relieve some pain of traffic if there were a cut through right at that median. So anyway, I'll be digging forward. If you have any comments on that, let us know. Otherwise, it was a busy week. It was a super consistent week. I continue to meet so many of you. I'm thankful for that. So many of you are reaching out just to say, hey, somebody reached out this week. We're coming, making plans for November. So it's just big. Appreciate you guys. First time. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to seeing you guys next week. Talk to you soon.